Thank you everyone to coming to today's event. It's presented by PM Dojo. So PM Dojo is a diverse learning community for people from all walks of life. And our mission is to make tech more inclusive and more accessible. And it was founded by Bosky, an entrepreneur and a product leader with over 2 decades of experience. Our unique product accelerator is a 10-week part-time apprentice-style program enabling people who are enthusiastic about products to gain practical experience and skills for them to break into and transition into product by actually launching their own product. And you will get to collaborate as a diverse team, solve some real-life world problems, and have lifelong mentorship and community. So currently applications are open for the spring 2022 cohort, and you can apply at pmdojo.me/product-accelerator. And feel free to connect with us on any of our social media of Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're all a community. And now I'm excited to present our speakers and panelists today, which is Rashif and Michelle. Kara was very excited to participate today, but had a family situation to take care of, so she sends her well wishes. And Rashif has delivered innovative analytics, IoT, and cloud products for over 10 years, and he's currently leading the 1 billion recovery initiative portfolio worldwide for Amazon's grocery business. He is passionate about transforming and delivering customer-centric solutions and driving product vision. So there's a lot to go with, a lot of experience on his end. And then Michelle is currently a product director of product at Mumspring. She transitioned from HR into product. So for those who is currently in a similar journey, you guys can go speak with her. She's a graduate of All Nations University in Ghana and has spent time helping organizations like Seller and Aaron Foundation, and is currently using her invaluable experience to develop products to help make healthcare more accessible and transform delivery of healthcare. So that was a general layout of everybody's background of this event. And now to make sure we're using our time wisely, we're going to have a breakout room for say 15 to 20 minutes where it'll be led by 2 different panelists, and then you have 2 different cases and you can start designing, and then we'll come back into the main room for summary and Q&A. So Rashif's case is product design. If Google is venturing into selling system, how would you design that product? As right now, Google is just displaying ticket and plane information, but Google can actually sell tickets. And then Michelle's case is product strategy. So how would you set goals and measure success for Facebook notifications? And mainly I hope all participants are going to be more active in speaking, turning their camera on, or at least unmuting yourself, because this is a workshop where participants are going to practice. And then the panelists will be more leading and helping you along the way. So any questions before I break you out into breakout rooms? Start summarizing for each of those who are the team leads. So can the team leads of both teams start your summary? Does Michelle's team want to go first?
Yeah, I think we'll go first. I'm gonna summarize for my team. My team lead had to leave because he had another meeting. So basically, we were focused on strategy, and our product or our feature was looking at Facebook notifications and what we would use to measure success, right? How we set our goals and what we used to measure success as a team working on notifications in Facebook. And what we decided on was starting with a big picture. So before we start, whatever it is we're working on, we have to define what the big picture is for that quarter or for that year or for those 6 months, and then create the goals from the big picture. So what would we expect to see in order for this big picture to be actualized? And from those goals, we now, of course, set tasks to perform and activities that need to be done within that period. One of the things we said we'd measure, or some of the things that we'd measure, would be the user experience, the user's engagement, of course, with the product or with the feature, my bad. We also talked about integration with other departments and other teams within Facebook and prioritization as well. And then of course, the most important thing is the user feedback. So depending on all the feedback we've gotten from across board, we do quarterly reviews. And if we've hit at least 75 to 80% of our targeted goals for that period, we would refer to it as successful. So.
That's great. And we could talk a bit more after hearing what Rashik's team has to say.
Okay.
Yeah, from room 2, anybody wants to summarize? If not, I can go here.
I mean, I could try, but
go for it, right? Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, we didn't really go too far, but so the case is Google wanted to go into ticketing. So I think the first thing we did was just try to understand before we actually say, is this something for Google to go into or not? We need to understand the company's mission and vision. And then we need to tie this new idea back into the mission and vision, try to understand the current business model that Google has, and just understand if this new idea can actually tie into the business model that they currently have. The second thing, or the second lever, was basically understanding the user journey for ticketing. And this basically means understanding who the competitors are going to be, or are they already competitors in this space? Who are they? So we understand how we're going to penetrate this sector. Are there going to be new entrants? Do we have threats? Basically, like the whole SWOT analysis. And yeah, who are the customers? Kind of like do a breakdown of, for example, the number of people in the US. I'll use US as an example. Understand the percentage that use a computer, who are computer savvy, and understand the percentage of that would likely search or use this ticketing service to kind of like validate if this is something we should go into. So I think, to be honest, and also understanding, of course, the personas, of the ticket buyers, and also knowing what to focus on, the supply side or the demand side. So that's the providers or the people buying these tickets. So we're trying to like discuss this, and we didn't have a lot of time to finish up. So Rakshit, you could finish up, please.
No, absolutely, Bright. You covered most of the points. So just to summarize, we were trying to address or trying to identify what could be the right steps we need to take in order to break the problem into a smaller chunk and evaluate the problem at every stage of a product lifecycle and see if that's a great idea for any company to venture into a new market space.
Great. So now that there's a summary, we can start having any questions from both people on the case and also just in general for the case interviews that the panelists can answer. And yeah, so any questions that we weren't able to hit during the practice case, because I know that it was a bit rushed to make sure that everyone was able to at least hear before they had to go.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Well, not a question, actually, just clarity. For the team one, I didn't get the topic they were working on, so I'm not clear on what the subject is.
Yeah. So for those with Rashik's team, it was for product kind of design where if Google wants to venture into selling tickets. Yes, so Rashik has to go, but yes. Thank you so much, Rashik, for being in contact.
Thank you, team.
But where so if you want to venture into selling tickets, how you are going to design that product, and I think that's what he kind of went over with you guys. Yes.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, correct. But I was talking about the team one. I was team two with Rakshit. So I understand what team two was doing, but I don't know what team one was working on. So, I don't know what they're working on.
Oh, team one. So yeah, now Michelle can. You want to speak a bit more on what team one's topic was?
Sure. Yeah. So team one, we were working on, would you set goals and how would you measure success for Facebook notifications? Assuming you worked on that team, how would you set goals and measure success for that team? That was our topic.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so I think Michelle's was focused more on product strategy, and while Rashid's was focused a bit more on product design. But like, even if anybody was interested in generally, like, I guess I could start out asking a question is, so how would someone best prepare for case interviews, right? I think a lot of people right here is looking to get into product. And one thing is all these case interviews, there's so many cases and sometimes it's so vague. And like, for example, they just give you that one prompt that's what we gave to both teams. So what would you suggest, Michelle?
How would someone look to start in product? That's a good one. So with products, there isn't like a textbook way to get into it, right? You had anywhere you could transition from. I transitioned from HR, and with it, it's just having I was telling my team members with product, it's literally just ensuring that product is the team that marries all the other teams together. So product is the team that brings the engineering, the business team, the marketing team, content team, all of them, brings them together. And product is literally the glue that holds everyone together. So if you have experience with like project management, you wouldn't do badly in product management. The only difference I would say one of the major differences between product and project is more like time bound, and then product is more like a continuous thing. And of course, you have the tech factor in it as well. But it just depends on. I always tell people it depends on what your focus is on, where your heart is. If you are focused, if you're someone who is in content or who is in marketing, then if you wanted to move into product, it would definitely I would definitely advise you start from like product marketing, right? Or if you are focused on like general like business management and project management, that sort of thing, you could probably look into getting into product management. Most big companies that everyone wants to work at, you have Apple, Google, Facebook, they look for people with experience, right? And it could be tricky sometimes, especially if you don't have that experience and you're, sorry?
Sorry. I just wanted to interrupt you. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, right?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So just sorry to interrupt you, but you were giving examples.
Yeah, I can hear you, Bright. Carry on.
You're giving examples of people that come from different backgrounds, marketing, So, and I want to just ask a direct question for someone coming from a commercial background, that's business development, sales, and and the likes. What would you recommend? What would you say about that?
If you were in business development, sales, I would say look into product marketing, because sales is under marketing. Sales is under marketing. So I would say look into product marketing if you were coming from the angle of, if you were coming from biz dev and sales, if you're coming from that angle, there's home for everyone in product. I would say if you're starting off, if you're trying to just kickstart a career in product and you haven't had any experience in it, one thing I have seen that's worked is if you have people who ask for like volunteer help on projects and stuff, in development, you have a lot of them who ask for help. You could always reach out and work on cases, help people in many, it could be like time bound. These ones could be time bound. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. Some of them are unpaid, some of them are paid. You can start off there, build your experience there. It kind of gives you a soft thing, right? Or a softer starting point, and you begin to build from there. With that, you begin to build your experience. Of course, you're meeting people in that, you're working in that ecosystem, meeting people in that ecosystem. And then next, you're able to progress into a little like larger companies, or no, smaller companies. So you start from individuals and then you move on to smaller companies. Some companies, when they start out, they don't mind hiring people who don't have that much experience. They just really want people who are able to work. If you're able to get those kind of companies, fantastic. If you aren't, search for people who do volunteer work here and there. Some people who do courses and then offer you like in some form of an internship in companies who would be willing to take people, from there. And then you just keep from there, your portfolio keeps building. And as your portfolio builds, of course, you begin to look more juicy to, larger companies. So that's it.
Did that answer your question, Bright?
Yeah, I mean, it did actually. Yeah, because I just wanted to understand, everyone says it that you could come into product from any background. I've actually had a little bit of experience myself in product management, but of course, like you mentioned, everyone is trying to, get into these great companies, right? And you're right to say that you have to have a lot of experience for them to actually take you serious. So I've had the opportunity to work in like the small ones, like you mentioned, the startups, doing what I know as product management. But most of my, like background is from the commercial, from commercial basically. So I just wanted to know, okay, is there, something, because for example, I reached out to a couple of people, and that's what I'm doing now, reaching out to product managers who are product managers in whatever companies like Amazon and the rest, having conversations with them, just trying to understand, is there something I need to particularly focus on? You get it? Like, is there something I need to go learn and say, okay, now I'm ready for product management? You see, so that was why I asked that question, and you answered it correctly. But if there's anything you want to add to that, that I would very much appreciate.
Just to add, I would say get some. So, I mean, the product school has a couple of free courses. A bunch of them are paid, but they have a couple of like fundamental free courses here and there. What I would say you should get experience in would be, I would say like terms. So like building, I think one thing about the tech space, right? And tech space in terms of software development is there are lots of terms that fly around. Like there's some things I heard 6 months ago that I hadn't heard in like 2 years, and I've been in product for a while, for a couple of years. So get familiar, and I guess in getting familiar with working on cases and stuff, you get familiar with those terms just so you're not left out of the loop. So when someone asks about like building user stories, you know what it means to build a user story, or they talk about like continuity, what does continuity look like, right, in product, or like, getting into working with engineers. And I think the parts where you have like a bulk of those terms and stuff heavy is when you're working with actual engineers. So just generally getting to understand what the terms and terminologies and different things are, fundamentals on like creating a user story, what to do, what to not do. Learning never stops, no matter how much experience you have or how many years you've worked in that department, you never stop learning. So you learn every day, you learn every hour, every minute, every second of every day, so learning never stops. So sometimes it can feel like you don't have enough to start doing something or to start working something, which is why I always advise that you start with the smaller companies who will give you that room to make mistakes, and not hang it and dangle it over your head that you've made a mistake. It's generally the air is generally one of learning and making mistakes, bouncing off on the mistakes, learning, making, just living life. That's it. So I would say start small, learn the basics. So, yeah.
Okay. That sounds sounds about right. So yeah, thanks for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, anyone else? Any other questions? You can always just type in the chat if you're don't want to speak.
I have a question. I don't know if
Yes,
you can hear
Naomi.
me. Okay. So I mainly have like a background in software development, and I'm just new to product management right now. So I was just wondering, I know like Jira is a really good software tool for product management. I was just wondering if there are other software tools that would be beneficial for me to learn, because I'm interviewing for positions right now. So a lot of the positions that I interview for really find it beneficial if you actually know these tools. So I was wondering, which tools would you recommend to learn?
I think Jira is like one that lots of companies use. We personally use ClickUp. There's Jira, there's ClickUp, there's Trello. I would say you could learn with those three. But I feel one thing I have noticed is once you get the hang of one, it's your learning curve is shorter on the other ones, right? So once you've learned Jira or you've learned Trello, I think the most complicated one I've seen is ClickUp, and that's the one we use. It's just there's lots of things happening there. But yeah, once you've learned, I could give you a ClickUp walkthrough later. Yeah, but once you've learned one of them, learning the basics, because a lot of them are generally just putting things in like cards or boards and moving those boards around and ensuring that everybody knows how to use what. So I think another thing that would be great for your interviews is to let them know that you're a fast learner. So what that means is that, you know, anything that comes your way, it doesn't take you time to, you know, learn it. And even if you aren't a fast learner like that, get people around you who would help you learn, right? So if you have to pick up something and you ask one or two people here and there, get on a call, and everybody puts their heads together and walks you through it. That's one thing we do at work sometimes when we get like a new software to work on something, and I know like one or two on my team, like, okay, we need to figure this out. And we'd all get on a Zoom call and just generally play with it, break it here and there, and then you figure it out. So yeah, but I would say Trello, ClickUp, those are the other two I can think of apart from Jira. Jira is usually almost everybody's fan favorite, so.
Okay, thank you. I have experience with Jira and Trello, so
You're welcome.
I'll try ClickUp.
Okay.
I think Miro is also a favorite of people. Miro?
Miro.
Miro, or at least like in the few teams that I've been with, they also been using Miro. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you could add that to your list.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
I could ask one. So say you're in a case interview and say you started off with the wrong assumption. What would you give a tip on, you know, say like you're in that situation, how should we, or like after we're talking for a while, we're like, wait, this isn't the assumption I want to build off on. Would you have a like tip on that?
You're in a case, you start with the wrong assumption. So sometimes the head might be wrong sometimes, but the body under it is usually a bit similar, right? So I think the ability, so I always say this, there's no hit and miss, right, with it. It's your ability to realize you made a mistake, quickly walk back, right? Quickly do adjustments and flow. I think that's what makes people exceptional. If you make a mistake and then you dwell on your mistake and then you realize, and then you know how you just let something take over your entire being, right? So you made a mistake, you dwell on a mistake, and then you now end up really destabilized. That's when I would be like, but if you notice, oh, I made a mistake with this assumption, just literally just take a walk back. When you correct your assumption, you look at like the list or whatever it is you created under your assumption, tweak what needs to be tweaked, what stays, what goes, right? And then you keep moving. I think one of the greatest qualities of a PM, of a good PM, is your ability to bounce back, right? The ability to think on your feet and bounce back. It's something that cannot be bought anywhere, to be honest, because it's literally when you notice that there's a mistake and you can quickly realize there's a mistake, quickly give instructions to who needs to work on what for them to know how to, make adjustments here and there, and, spread your communications around everyone. That's what makes people exceptional. And when you're giving the feedback to your team or to the upper level management, it's a thing of, oh, we noticed this mistake. This is what caused it. So we call it a postmortem at work, right? So postmortem, what went wrong? How do we fix it, right? What do we do to avoid that situation happening again? So what would get me upset is if I'm noticing, oh, there's a 3-month period and we're talking about something that went wrong in 3 months, and in something went wrong, you noticed it in the second week, you didn't do anything about it. In the fourth week, you didn't do anything about it. In the fifth week, you didn't do anything about it. And then people were just, oh, I thought it was this, oh, I thought it was that. That's not you taking ownership of your work, right? And ownership is like one of the most important things. So the ability to take ownership, realize, oh, I made this assumption, I did this thing wrong, I apologize. I'm going to walk back, right? Do this, sort that out. And oh yeah, this is how we solve the problem, right? It's like, okay, so I didn't need to lose sleep on that thing not being there or being solved. So when you notice that, or in an interview, because I think I'm going into like actual work, but in an interview, you're given a case and you realize you made a wrong assumption. That 2 minutes walk back to figure it out, sort it out and come back is literally what could save you from not getting a job. So, but sometimes I should add, even in the wrong assumption, if you've actually gotten your steps right in the wrong assumption, it's also good. It's one thing if you get the assumption wrong and then give the steps for if you've gotten the assumption right. So it's like, okay, you're presenting this assumption, but what you have under the assumption isn't even correct. That's different. If you've presented a particular assumption, it might be wrong, but if the steps you have under that assumption are good, right, and it flows with that topic or that assumption, then I guess you're also good to go. But try as much as possible to quickly fix them. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, maybe one last question. Anyone?
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Ritika. Hi, Michelle. I have just recently came to know about the product management. So it's like I have yet to take my first step in this direction. My question is, where would you suggest should I start to get more hang of it? Or what should be my first few steps be?
Okay, where are you coming from? What's your background in?
I've done my master's in computer applications.
Okay.
But
do you have any work experience?
No, I don't have any work experience.
Okay, so you have background in computer applications, is what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your BSc in? Or what's your undergrad? What's your first degree? What's your bachelor's in?
Bachelor's in computer. So, okay, I'll give you a little bit of my background. I'm from India, so
Okay.
I have done my bachelor's in computer applications. That's my undergraduation, and then a master's in the same field. That's my graduation.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like you might have a bit of technical experience.
Right.
Did you have any experience in like anything software development during your time at school?
Yes. I don't have any work experience in a company.
Yeah,
So
but education
I
experience and education experience.
yes, yes.
Okay. I would, oh no, not experience, sorry, technical educational experience, right? Or understanding. I would say look into there's technical product management, right? So there's growth, there's technical, there's another one, I think marketing-ish, I don't remember. But look into technical product experience, technical product activities. And you have, so what you would need to do is maybe take like a course or two and they're like other short 4-week, 3-week, 8 weeks courses. What you want to do is give you a base level understanding of product management, right? So you might have technical experience already, so certain things wouldn't be so strange to you in those fields and in those conversations and stuff when you're taking those courses. But what you want to do is get some level of baseline understanding of what product management is. Because even if I said, apply for like volunteer positions and stuff to build your experience, if you don't have any understanding of product management itself as an activity, as a life path, as a career, you're not going to offer your best to whoever you even want to volunteer to work for, because it's a thing of, yeah, you're available to work, but you don't necessarily understand what's supposed to happen. And then the whole point of you getting that experience is for you to be able to, apply and then, of course, grow in that position. So you need to, get some level of baseline experience, educational experience in product management. And it's just literally reading a couple of courses here and there, reading a couple of articles, a couple of blogs. I think it's called 280 Group. 280 Group puts out a lot of content on product management and stuff. And then there's another group that puts out a lot. Product School is there. There's this other team. They have an application out, and then they also put out a lot of content as well. I will check for their name. Actually, I don't remember the name right now. But they also put out a lot of product management content as well. So it might not even be, and it's just literally how to write user stories, how to, create a product strategy, how to, do a product requirement, learning those different things, because at the end of the day, that's what the job entails. You're in a lot of meetings and creating a lot of documents and a lot of process flows here and there. So you want to get, that understanding of how to create those documents and how to do those tasks, just at least understanding of what they are. Then when you're presenting, you use what you exactly. I think it's Rutita. Oh,
Yes.
Rutika, my bad. Okay.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
All right, awesome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, well, thanks for everyone who joined today, and hope you learn at least a little something, whether it's from the Q&A or from the frameworks and the team workshops. And there's a lot of obviously online information, a lot of different schools, a lot of different projects, a lot of different volunteer works. And even if you just Google, what is product management, that lets you go to first start. And once again, PM Dojo also helps you get on that path. So if you want to ever check PM Dojo out, just go to pmdojo.me. And I'll let everybody off. Thank you so much. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome, Coffee. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
Okay.